Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Vibrant You. We have all heard of morning routines. Every wellness blog and podcast and health influencer out there on social media talks about the benefits of having a morning routine for optimal health and productivity. But what's less talked about and is just as important is having an evening routine, not only for optimal sleep, but for overall health, for vitality, for abundant energy and success in the following day. So today we are getting into just that. We are talking about the ultimate evening routine for optimal sleep, for health and vitality. We're going to be talking about why you need an evening routine, the 4 essential elements of an effective evening routine, and how to create your own. I'll be sharing with you my own personal evening routine that I have done every single night for many, many years, and some helpful tips for implementing your evening routine long term. So even when life gets busy, you can still maintain this simple, practical evening routine and get all of those benefits. So let's dive right in. Let's start off with why you need an evening routine and how to create yours. So I have had an evening routine for about a decade now. It has been such a pillar of my own health, my own well-being, my own productivity, my own success in my work, in my business. And I do recommend it for everyone, having some sort of evening routine. Some of the key benefits that we may notice when we really start to dial in that evening routine, whether you already have an evening routine that you're looking to optimize or get a little more consistent with, or whether your evening routine is really simple right now, as simple as just brushing your teeth. There are so many benefits of building or optimizing your evening routine to make it even better. So the first benefit that I've noticed is, first and foremost, having better sleep. So that evening routine and creating that consistency really helps signal to our body that it's time to wind down. Of course, making that easier for us to fall asleep, have deeper sleep, and wake up the next day feeling more refreshed. So those consistent sleep patterns are really essential for creating optimal health and cognitive function. The second main benefit that I've received from having an evening routine is way more vibrant energy and mental clarity. So of course, when I'm sleeping really vibrantly, I wake up the next day more refreshed. I have better energy. I have more consistency. My cognitive function is at its best. So we receive so much from having an evening routine with our energy and our mental clarity and performance. The third main benefit that I've noticed is reduced stress. So when I'm engaging in those relaxing activities during the evening routine, such as reading or meditating or gentle stretching, which we'll get into what all of that can be for you, it really does help to lower stress levels. And of course, that leads to just better emotional well-being, lower stress chemicals, lower cortisol, and therefore better sleep and overall health. Another benefit that I've noticed, and what I hear from my clients a lot, is that improved cognitive function, especially when it comes to their productivity. So having that well-structured evening routine really helps set you up for a productive, effective day ahead. Having some sort of like planning and organization of what you're doing the next day and preparing yourself intentionally for that, we're so much more likely to just wake up with a clear direction and purpose and vitality for the day ahead. A few more that I've noticed benefits is, of course, better mental health. So having evening routines that incorporate things like mindfulness or journaling or reflection, really helps to maintain our mental health, which is so important. And then lastly is it really gives us the space to develop healthy habits and create time for self-care. So incorporating these healthy habits into a consistent evening routine, like going to bed early or avoiding excess screen time, really contributes to a healthier lifestyle over time. And as well as it's an opportunity to bring in some of those elements of self-care, such as a really juicy skincare regimen, or enjoying a book before you sleep, or taking a relaxing bath. Really, it's an opportunity every single night to prioritize your own well-being and to recharge after a busy day. So let's get into how to create your own evening routine. So for my evening routine that I have done and been through so many different iterations of over the many years, it's changed and adapted, but it really has boiled down to 4 key elements for creating my evening routine. And this is something that I would invite you to explore, is these 4 key elements for creating your own personal evening routine. And they are: number 1, preparation; number 2, relaxation; number 3, sleep optimization and biohacking; And number 4 is schedule and timing of your routine. These are the 4 key elements. So preparation is really about preparing yourself for sleep and preparing yourself for a successful and vibrant next day. That can be, organizing, taking a sec to organize your calendar for the next day, to put your clothes out for the following day, and really just set yourself up for success. The second, relaxation, is of course of self-care, having calming rituals to help you unwind and relax for a beautiful sleep. Sleep optimization and biohacking is supporting sleep with specific techniques and biohacks to create that deep sleep state and have more rejuvenative sleep. And then number 4 is the schedule and timing of your routine. So humans, we thrive with routine. We thrive with having consistency in our days. So supporting what we call our circadian rhythm, our natural sleep-wake cycle by doing an evening routine really sets us up for optimal sleep and energy throughout the next day. So let's get into the ultimate evening routine. So this is my evening routine. I've adapted this 100 times over the last years, but this seems to work really good for me. And some version of this is often what I will recommend to my clients. So I'm going to go through all of these with you. And I actually go so much deeper into the evening routine and the nuances of it and tips for really how to personalize it and customize it into your own evening routine that will be most effective and sustainable for you. We go so much deeper into this inside of my brand new Sleep Deep program, which is a holistic sleep optimization portal. And I'll share a little bit more about that towards the end of the podcast. But if you are looking for deeper support in optimizing your sleep, that would be a great place for you to start. But let's get right into it. So first of all, the evening routine for me actually starts 2 to 3 hours before bed. But I want to preface that by saying you're not doing 2 to 3 hours of chores to take care of yourself. You're not doing 2 to 3 hours of practices until you go to bed. It's super chill, super easy. This is more of a lifestyle piece. So 2 to 3 hours before bed, I finish eating and I finish exercising. So really allowing my sleep chemicals to start to kick in, where digesting and exercising are really the opposite action in the body than sleep. And if we're eating a large meal right before bed, or even an hour or, an hour and a half before bed, we're really competing with our digestive potential. So sleep and digestion are opposite actions in the body. And when we have a big meal in our stomach, it compromises our sleep. And in the same way, if we go to sleep with a full stomach, it actually compromises our digestion. So one of the best lifestyle hacks to optimize your sleep is to stop eating 2 or 3 hours before you sleep. That's going to improve your sleep, improve your digestion, and set your whole health up for success. And that goes for exercising as well. If we're exercising late at night, it's very stimulating. And again, exercise and sleep are 2 different hormonal actions in the body. They compete with each other. So finishing those 2 to 3 hours before bed is so helpful. And that's the first step of the evening routine. The next step is about an hour before bed. So an hour before bed is when I really start to dial in those relaxation pieces, right? So we've kind of moved through the preparation phase 2 to 3 hours before bed. We've maybe looked at our calendar for the next day. We've prepared and maybe set our clothes out for the following day. We've finished eating and exercising. We have a quick glance at what is coming up tomorrow. Then an hour before bed, we start by letting the sun go down in our home. So that means starting to dim the lights or turning on something like a red light or a salt lamp. And what this does is that the presence of bright light or blue light stimulates 2 key chemicals in the brain, cortisol and serotonin, which is our daytime chemicals needed for energy production, for motivation, for getting things done, for feeling happy and fulfilled. But we actually, those chemicals, cortisol and serotonin, are in competition with our sleep chemical called melatonin. So allowing the sun to go down in our home is simply starting to dim down the lights, starting to turn off a lot of the blue light, the stimulating light that keeps those cortisol and serotonin chemicals, the daytime chemicals, nice and high, and starting to allow that melatonin to kick in slowly, gradually. And melatonin, our sleep chemical, can only kick in the presence of more dim lighting, and especially or ideally having more red lighting. So red wavelengths help to stimulate the production of melatonin, whereas blue light, which is emitted from our phones and fluorescent lighting and the sun, actually emits that blue light. So just like nature designed us to, right, is to wind down when the sun goes down, even the red light emitted from a sunset, the red wavelengths, has a stimulating effect for the parasympathetic nervous system and for our melatonin so we can fall asleep at night. So a little sleep hack for you is an hour before bed, let the sun go down in your home. If possible, start to turn off your tech as well. So just like the blue light from our phone and our computer and our TVs and Netflix and all of that is very stimulating for the brain and suppresses our sleep chemicals, what you can do, a little biohack for you, is let's say you don't have the luxury of turning off tech a full hour before bed. Ideally, we want to build our lifestyle that is really sleep supportive. And so setting up systems or things in place that don't require you to be on your phone until you sleep, or, switching, scrolling on Instagram for reading a book or something less stimulating. But worst case scenario, and I know I've needed to use it at times, is I work with something called blue light blocking glasses. If you're with me on video, you can see them here with me. And these blue light blocking glasses filter a lot of the blue light coming in from devices like phones and TVs and stuff like that. So it's rare, that I will be on tech so late. But let's say like my partner and I, we want to watch a movie, we're humans, we like to just enjoy, have a cuddle and have a nice little nourishing moment. Then I will always pop on these blue light blocking glasses so that it doesn't disrupt my melatonin and I can fall asleep and have a nice deep sleep after that. So an hour before bed, turning off tech, and then working with something called sensory support. To help us sleep, we want to withdraw our 5 senses from the external world to our internal world. Right? We're withdrawing our senses. This is a yogic technique called pratyahara. And how we do that is we start to turn our senses inward. Of course, we're dimming the lights. That starts to calm the vision sense. We're starting to calm sound, right? We're starting to turn off stimulating noises or sounds, and maybe putting on some relaxing music is a great way to bring in the sound element of sensory support. I personally like to turn on for the smell sense, a sense of scent, is I have a lavender diffuser that I'll turn on, or I have some specific oils that I'll inhale, or I have a spray bottle of lavender and filtered water that I just spray on my pillow, or I spray my face before bed, and that's really nourishing. That sensory support is so valuable. Really helps to turn those senses inward, starts to calm and soothe the mind, knowing that our 5 senses are really a gateway into our consciousness, into our mental, emotional states. And when we can start to calm our senses, we immediately start to calm our mind, helping our mind unwind and relax for an evening of sleep ahead. Okay, continuing on with this 1 hour before bed. So we had let the sun go down in your home. We had turn off tech. We had sensory support. Now we're getting into sleep supplements. So I love about an hour before bed, there's a few key supplements that I'll take to help support my sleep. And the main ones that I've taken over the years, I switch it up a little bit here or there based on how my sleep is, what my sleep needs are, how my stress levels are. But a few key ones that you can work with is things like magnesium before bed is really great. It helps to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, the calm part of our nervous system. It turns off the stress response and on the relaxation response. I also work with sleep tinctures made of key herbs like passion flower and tulsi or holy basil and lavender and chamomile. Trying to think what else. I actually make my own sleep tincture. What else did I put? Passion flower. Oh, lemon balm. That's the other main one in there. So you can buy sleep formulas, and what I'll do is I'll actually link up in the show notes some of the key supplements that I personally take that I recommend for my private clients. And of course, this isn't medical advice. We're not curing sleep disorders by any means. And of course, you should talk to your doctor or a practitioner if you are on any medications to see if any of these supplements would be right for you or not. And the final one that I personally use from time to time, and in some cases with clients may recommend, is melatonin. And melatonin is great. It helps to really kickstart that sleep chemical and allow us to fall asleep a lot easier. So again, we go so much deeper into sleep supplements and sleep self-care, all of this in the Sleep Deep program that I am running. But I wanted to share just a bit of a surface idea of what you could start to look into for yourself to optimize your sleep. And then finally, within this 1 hour before bed kind of timeline, I get into some self-care and some sleep hygiene. So of course the basics, right, of like getting ready for bed. I brush my teeth. I have a very extensive holistic oral health routine, which maybe I'll do an entire podcast episode on. If that's interesting to you, would you let me know? Would it be helpful to do a functional and Ayurvedic and holistic dental or oral health routine, like what I brush my teeth with, different oral health protocols to really maintain oral health and cure cavities? If that's helpful, let me know, and I'd be happy to do an episode on that. I do my skincare routine, I shower, all of those basics. But it's a really, really beautiful opportunity in this hour before bed to do something nice for yourself, an element of self-care, whether that is having a bath with Epsom salts in it, which is magnesium sulfate that again turns on that parasympathetic nervous system. Work with essential oils, lavender, which has a very calming, soothing effect on the mind. These types of things are excellent to do within that 1 hour of bed. And that kind of changes for me what the self-care is, and also based on what I have time for. Realistically, I know for me and probably for most of you out there, an hour of self-care before bed maybe isn't realistic, especially if you've got busy work and you've got responsibilities or you've got kids or things going on. But what's non-negotiable for me is my 15 minutes before bed. And that's where I really invite in some sort of relaxation ritual. So what I do for myself is I do often two main things. Number one is there's an ancient Ayurvedic technique called oleation or abhyanga, or there's a few different names for it. And what we do is we rub sesame oil. So good old organic sesame oil that you find at your health food store. And you're going to rub that into the soles of your feet and put your socks on. And this is such a simple, almost funny, but really simple technique that helps to calm the mind, to calm the nervous system. Imagine that like when our head hits the pillow at night and we're feeling really stimulated, like I'm tired all day, but as soon as my head hits the pillow, I feel like my mind racing and it's hard to switch off. If that's you, imagine that when we go to sleep at night, all of the energy in your body is rushing up to your head and it's keeping your mind busy and thinking and hard to switch off. This oil on the soles of the feet actually helps to draw that energy away from the head and pull that energy and ground that energy, that busy mind energy, ground it into the soles of the feet. And because the soles of the feet have thousands and thousands of nerve endings, it actually has like a soothing, almost a coating balm, a soothing balm over those nerve endings that then relaxes the entire central nervous system, helping us fall asleep. Bonus points if you add a few drops of lavender essential oil into it. And what I'll often do is I just have a pump bottle beside my bed or in my bathroom of sesame oil with some lavender premixed in it. I have a dedicated pair of socks that I apply the oil, give myself a little 1-minute foot massage, that little ritual for myself. And then I pop my socks on so that I'm not getting oil all over the floor or in my sheets, in my linens, and that seems to work really well for me. Next thing I do in that 15 minutes before bed, and keep in mind the foot relaxation ritual, the sesame oil is like a 1-minute thing, not a big commitment, but makes a big impact. Next thing I do is 5 to 15 minutes of something really calming, really grounding, really relaxing that I enjoy in bed. So that can be 5 to 15 minutes of meditation if you enjoy that, whether it's a guided meditation or just a visualization meditation, whether you're guiding yourself or you're listening to an audio track, that can be really quite helpful. And I'll link up, I have a beautiful guided meditation collection with really beautiful themes like inner healing and self-love and gratitude. And it can be really special to just, pop that on. They're anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes long, not a huge time investment, but again, big impact. So it can be a guided meditation. You may just do 5 to 15 minutes of just deep breathing, just laying on your back, taking, 10, 15 full belly breaths, whatever you need to just really calm your nervous system. You can do something called yoga nidra, which is a guided lying down meditative practice where you're guided through 7 stages of a systematic approach to relaxation. And you can actually just fall asleep to it. It's so relaxing. And you can find lots on YouTube and just search Yoga Nidra audio or Yoga Nidra tracks. I'm sure there's probably some on Spotify as well. That can be really supportive. Or Most often what I'll do, and what I love to do in bed, before bed, is 5 to 15 minutes of restorative yoga. And there's some specific poses that are going to be most supportive. I give a whole little sleep yoga sequence inside of Sleep Deep, so we go so much deeper into it. But I'll share with you my favorite one, which is really simple. It's called Legs Up the Wall. So if you have a wall behind your bed or a headboard, or if not, you can just do it on the floor on a yoga mat or something. You're simply going to lay on the ground close to the wall and swing your legs up the wall. So your legs are up the wall and you're lying down flat on your back, almost in an L shape, as it were. And you can't even pop a pillow under your hips. So it's a slight inversion. And having your hips slightly higher than your heart and having your legs higher, right? That slight inversion has a very tranquilizing effect on our nervous system. It really stimulates that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest state. It's going to calm the mind. It's going to help you fall asleep easier, help you stay asleep throughout the night, and help you wake up the next day feeling refreshed. So I love that. I just put my legs up the wall. I close my eyes. I take a few deep breaths. I might connect to a moment of just gratitude or reflection from the day. And I just let my mind completely unwind. I've fallen asleep in that position before. It's totally fine. But usually I'll be like, okay, now I'm like falling asleep. I need to roll over. And I just roll over and fall asleep. So that's a great way to put yourself to bed. Last thing I want to share with you is at bedtime. So once I've done that and I'm actually ready to sleep, like it takes 1 minute, is I do a few things. Number one is I put my eye cover on. So I have a special, if you're with me on video, I have a special little eye mask that goes over my eyes and even my ears to block out any light. That really helps me to sleep because, again, the presence of any light in our room suppresses melatonin, our sleep chemical. We can't produce melatonin in the presence of light. So that we're not able to sleep if there's any light coming into our room, at least not sleep deep, at least not sleep very well. And how do you know if there's light in your room? Because people say like, oh, I don't have any lights on and there's not any crazy bright lights outside my house. I don't have any like technology on at night. But if you're laying in your bed and you wave your hand in front of your face at night, if you can see the movement, your room is too bright. So either you're getting, your curtains aren't fully black, there's something light filtering in from the street, there's something illuminating in your room, whether it's like your air conditioner LED light, or your laptop is charging and there's a little light on it, or your air purifier has a light, or even the full moon, right? That's when I notice that my room gets really bright. Then I definitely work with an eye cover. So that's what I'm doing right before bed. I pop on my eye cover. I've got all my little sleep kit stuff right here if you're with me on video. I have my earplugs, so I pop those in. I mouth tape. And that's a technique that I go a lot deeper into in Sleep Deep as well, of exactly what that is, how we do it, why we do it. But it's basically a little technique of sealing your lips at night to prevent mouth breathing, which prevents your body going into a stressed state at night. So I wasn't aware that I mouth breathed until I really started to study this, and I started to catch myself and notice that I would wake up in the morning and my mouth would be so dry, and sometimes even have a little sore throat or have to do a lot of throat clearing. And when we breathe through our mouth, even unintentionally, right, or our mouth kind of gapes open when we sleep, just how much our jaw relaxes, it does put our body into a stress state, which impacts our quality of sleep. So those are some of the things that I do right when I go to sleep, and I always make sure that I'm going to bed at an optimal time. So when nature intended us to sleep, which for most of us is going to be between 9 and 11 p.m. And my sweet spot, my dream bedtime that I go to sleep most nights is I'm sleeping by 10 o'clock. That's perfect for me. At 9 o'clock, I'm winding down, I'm getting ready for bed, I'm, starting to switch off. And by 10 o'clock, I'm sleeping, which allows me to get 8 hours of sleep when I wake up naturally at 6 o'clock, let's say, the next day morning. That is my personal evening routine. I invite you to take which elements of that make sense to you. Again, 2 to 3 hours before bed, we finish eating and exercising. We prep for the following day. Let's say an hour before bed, we let the sun go down in our home, starting to dim the lights. We turn off tech, or we use blue light blocking glasses if needed. We work with sensory support, so that might be putting on a lavender essential oil diffuser or turning on some nice calming music. We might work with sleep supplements. We bring in those elements of self-care and sleep hygiene. Then 15 minutes before bed, we bring in that relaxation ritual of oil on the feet, or 5 to 15 minutes of meditation or restorative yoga in bed. And then at bedtime itself, we pop on our eye cover, we pop in some earplugs, maybe work with mouth tape, and we sleep at an optimal time between 9 and 11 p.m. So a few last little bonus evening routine tips for you is the goal is really for us in creating a long-term sustainable evening routine is to go beyond feeling like these are chores to cross off of a checklist into an actual lifestyle. So I know when I first started this, it felt like a bit chorey, like, oh, I have to do this. And it felt like more of an obligation. I really transformed that routine into a felt sense of ritual. And when we transform routine into ritual, it becomes not an act of discipline, but an act of devotion, an investment into our self-care, an investment into our optimal health and well-being. And that's what makes these routines sustainable in the long term, is when we really change our relationship to it. So I invite you to go for what I call the 80% rule. There are days where I don't go to bed at 10 o'clock and I do go to bed at 11 or 11:30, my partner up late at night chatting, or we're watching a movie, or, I'm out with friends a bit later, whatever it is. As long as we are following our healthy habits and our daily routines, our evening routines, 80% of the time, it's enough. Don't aim for 100. Don't have the all or nothing mindset where either I'm going to get it perfect or I'm not going to do it at all. We want this to be, a long-term situation, not a do it for a week, burn yourself out and stop doing it and then not get the optimal sleep that you really want for yourself. Next is really see if you can boil this down to the essentials. So again, don't do 2 to 3 hours of self-care before bed. Have like an hour in mind of where you're slowly starting to wind down, you're slowly starting to unplug, and then have that committed 15 minutes before bed that's like properly, intentionally switching off, doing some sort of little self-care for yourself, and really just boil it down to that 15 minutes, okay? The rest is just lifestyle and structuring your day in an intentional way. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share with you for today. And I'm so excited to share with you about my upcoming program for sleep, which is called Sleep Deep. So this is an entire holistic sleep optimization portal to restore your sleep and energize your life. So it's a self-study holistic sleep and biohacking program for female professionals and entrepreneurs to really say goodbye to fatigue, to brain fog, and moodiness caused by sleepless nights. So through this program, you will unlock the deepest levels of rest, epic health, mental clarity, and peak productivity by optimizing your sleep so that you can feel energized, inspired, and creative all day long. Of course, epic sleep is so much more than just an evening routine. Evening routine's a great place to start, but we know that it's more than that because you've already Googled how to optimize your sleep and you already knew a lot of what I just said. So sleep is so much more than just an evening routine. It's really about understanding the science of sleep so you can truly optimize yours. It's about identifying your unique sleep disruptors, and beyond just what the conventional advice on Google says, And inside of Sleep Deep, we have an entire sleep disruptor assessment quiz where we go into 7 key areas of assessment to identify your root cause issues behind your sleep problems, and we optimize them from there. We go into how to create an optimal sleep environment for yourself. We get into healthy sleep habits and sleep hygiene and sleep biohacks and routines. We get into sleep supportive lifestyle because epic sleep isn't just about what you do 15 minutes before bed. It's really how you live your life. We talk about the deep sleep protocol and the key nutritional supplements and herbal allies that will support and optimize your sleep, as well as stress reducing sleep rituals and sleep tracking tools and technology to optimize your sleep in the long term and track your progress and your results over time. So we get into all of this and so much more in Sleep Deep, and you'll also receive bonus quizzes and meditations and assessments and how to personalize your sleep protocol, evening routine checklists, and so much more. As well as I've included some bonus modules on how to navigate specific situations like sleep with jet lag when you're traveling, or sleep in motherhood, or sleep in shift work, which are some really unique situations that you may be facing. So Sleep Deep is really about making restorative, epic sleep simple. I've really boiled it down to the most important parts, combining ancient wisdom with modern science and functional medicine and biohacking, nothing more. No fluff. It's super practical. It's personalized and will really streamline that process for you to get sleeping better within just a few days. So if that speaks to you, if you are ready to optimize your sleep, you can visit my website, bindystables.com/sleep deep, or send me a DM on Instagram and tell me a bit more about your unique sleep situation and goals so that I can share some initial tips with you and see if Sleep Deep may be supportive for you. So that is all for today, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wishing you a beautiful night's sleep tonight, and I'll see you back for another episode real soon. Take care.